All right, good morning. We're going to start with customs and courtesies. This is Unit 1, Chapter 1, Lesson 3, Customs and Courtesies in ROTC. Your essential question today is, how do customs used in JROTC demonstrate respect for our nation and the JROTC program? How does it feel when you guys see the U.S. flag or you hear the national anthem? Some people say it makes them feel patriotic, it makes them feel proud, etc. And I would hope so. In 1777, the Second Continental Congress decided that our flag would have how many stripes, alternating red and white in color? 13. 13. And that still holds true today. We still have 13 stripes on our flag. The only thing that ever changes is the stars. Our learning objectives today, we're going to talk about how our nation arrived at the current design of the United States flag. We're going to explain the symbolism of the parts and colors of the flag. We're going to talk about the origin of the lyrics of the national anthem. We're going to talk about saluting, the correct way to fold the flag and demonstrate to show respect for the flags, and the rules for displaying the flag in different situations. If you are in first period or fourth period, Alpha Company or Charlie Company, you guys will be responsible for our flag detail, raising and lowering the flag here at school. Alpha Company will raise the flag in the morning, and Charlie Company will lower it and fold it in the afternoon and bring it back over to our ROTC building. And this has to be done every day before we start class and at the end of class. So when we come back to school, some of you guys from Alpha Company will need to come in and come help us with that in the mornings. We're going to continue on with these learning objectives. When the national anthem is played, we're going to listen to some music today. Explain why there are rules for saluting and addressing officers. And distinguish among the different types of personal salutes. When we would salute, and all these words down here for our keywords. What is an anthem? Anthem is a song that represents a country. Bombardment is when you're catching a lot of bombs. Colors, courtesies. Colors are basically the flags you see in front of our classroom. The difference between a flag and a color, for instance, we do color guards. We present the colors at events and ball games and stuff like that. The difference between a flag and colors have the gold fringe that goes around the edge of them. Okay. Ensign is a flag on a ship. Esprit de corps is your spirit of the corps, how you guys feel about whatever you're working with. Half staff, that is when we lower the flag halfway down to honor someone who has died. And I will go over the rest of these with you guys in class. So please make sure you're in here on this day. So I want to talk about the history of the U.S. flag and our national anthem. 1775, 1777, the flag looked like this one in the upper left-hand corner, where it had the British flag represented on it. That was called the Grand Union flag. And so what happened in 1776? Well, we said we didn't want to be part of Britain. We didn't want to be a colony anymore. And so we want their flag off of our flag. So then we came out with the Betsy Ross and the Hopkinson flag. And then we went to the next one, which was flown for 23 years. Got to the Old Glory flag from 1822 to 1836. This was in 1831, the flag that was flying then. And this is the one that Francis Scott Key is talking about when he wrote the Star Spangled Banner. 1912 to 1959 was the 48 star flag. It was flown for 47 years. And that was the longest design we had for any flag until 1960, when we added Hawaii and Alaska to the Union, and we went to 50 states and 50 stars. Okay. Why are there so many designs? Because the original description wasn't too clear. We had different flags. And of course, the U.S. has grown in size over the years. So why are they red, white, and blue? The red stands for hardiness and valor. White stands for hope, purity, and innocence. And the blue stands for loyalty, vigilance, perseverance, and justice. The blue section of the flag is called the Union. All right, we're going to play the national anthem now, and I want you guys to listen to it, and then we're going to come back and talk about it. The national anthem's actual name is the Star Spangled Banner. It was written by American poet and lawyer Francis Scott Key. Tap, tap. You will hear that again. The melody was written by British composer John Stafford Smith in 1814, and it was actually a British drinking song. So what is our national anthem about? There was a lawyer once. His name was Francis Scott Key. He penned a song that I'm sure you're aware of. You've seen it. It's in most hymnals throughout our churches, and it's called the national anthem. And it is our song as Americans. We go, however, to a ball game. We stand at our church services and we sing the words of that song, and they float over our minds and our lips, and we don't even realize what we're singing. Most of us have memorized it as a child, but we've never really thought about what it means. So let me tell you a story. Francis Scott Key was a lawyer in Baltimore. The colonies were engaged in a vicious conflict with the mother country of Britain. Because of this conflict and how long it lasted, they had accumulated prisoners on both sides. The American colonies had prisoners and the British had prisoners. And the American government initiated a move. They went to the British and said, let us negotiate for the release of these prisoners. They said, we want to send a man out to discuss it with you. Well, they were holding the American prisoners in boats about 1,000 yards offshore. And they said, we want to send a man by the name of Francis Scott Key. He will come out and he'll negotiate to see if we can make an exchange. On the appointed day in a rowboat, he went out onto the ship and he negotiated with the British officers. And they reached a conclusion that men could be exchanged on a one-for-one basis. Francis Scott Key, jubilant with the fact that he'd been successful, went down and below in the boats, and he found what was a cargo hold full of humanity, men. And he said, men, I've got good news for you. Tonight, you are free. He said, "For tonight I have negotiated successfully for your return to the colonies. You'll be taken out of this boat, out of this filth, and out of your chains." As they went back on board to arrange for their passage to shore, the admiral came and he said, "We have a slight problem. We will still honor our commitment to release these men, but it'll be merely academic. After tonight, it won't matter." Francis Scott Key said, "What do you mean?" The admiral says, "Well, Mr. Key, tonight we have laid an ultimatum upon the colonies. Your people will either capitulate and lay down the colors of that flag that you think so much of, or you see that fort over there, Fort McHenry? We're going to remove it from the face of the earth." He said, Francis Scott Key said, "Well, how are you going to do that?" Admiral says, "If you will, scan the horizon of the sea." And as he looked, he could see hundreds of little dots. And he said, "That's the entire British fleet. Of all the gunpowder, all the armaments being called upon to demolish that fort. It will be here within striking distance in a matter of about 2.5 hours." He said, "The war is over. These men would have been free anyway." Francis Scott Key said, "You can't shell that fort. That's a large fort. It's full of women and children. It's not even a military fort." Admiral said, "Don't worry about it. We've left them a way out." Key said, "What's that?" Admiral says, "Do you see that flag up on that rampart? We have told them that if they lower that flag, the shelling will stop immediately, and we'll know that they have surrendered, and then you'll be under British rule." Francis Scott Key went down below and told the men what was about to happen, and they said, "Well, how many ships?" He said, "Hundreds." The ships got closer. Francis Scott Key went back up on top and he said, "Men, I'll shout down to you what's going on as we watch." As twilight began to fall and as the haze hung over the ocean as it does at sunset, suddenly the British war fleet unleashed all their cannons. Boom! He said the sound was deafening. There were so many guns that there were no relief. He said it absolutely impossible to talk or hear. He said suddenly the sky, although dark, was suddenly lit up. And he says from down below, all he could hear was the men, the prisoners, saying, "Tell us where the flag is. What have they done with the flag? Is the flag still flying over the rampart? Tell us." 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours into the shelling, every time a bomb would explode and it would be close to the flag, they could see the flag and the illuminated red glare of that bomb. And Francis Scott Key would report down to the men, "It's still up. It's not down." The admiral came and he said, "Your people are insane. What's the matter with them? Don't they understand that this is an impossible situation?" Francis Scott Key said he remembered what George Washington had said. Washington said, "The thing that sets the American apart from all other people in the world is that he will die on his feet before he'll live on his knees." The admiral said, "We have now instructed all of the guns to focus on that rampart and to take that flag down." He said, "We don't understand something. Our reconnaissance tells us that that flag has been hit directly again and again and again, and yet it's still flying. We don't understand that. But now we're going to bring every gun for the next 3 hours to bear on that flag." Francis Scott Key said that the barrage was unmerciful. All that he could hear was the men down below praying the prayer, "God, keep that flag flying where we last saw it." Eventually, sunrise came. He said there was a heavy mist hanging over the land, but the rampart was tall enough that there stood the flag, completely nondescript, in shreds. The flagpole itself was at a crazy angle, but the flag was still at the top. Francis Scott Key went aboard and immediately went into Fort McHenry to see what had happened. And what he found had happened was that the flagpole and the flag had suffered repeated direct hits. And when it hit, it had fallen. But the men, fathers, who knew what it meant for that flag to be on the ground, although knowing that all of the British guns were trained on it, walked over and held it up humanly until they died. Their bodies were removed and others took their place. Francis Scott Key said, "What held that flagpole in place in that unusual angle were patriots' bodies." And then he penned the song, "Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming? Over the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that the flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet fly and wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. The debt was demanded, the price it was paid. Now you guys know why we don't let our flag touch the ground. Because if to let that flag touch the ground would be disrespectful to all those patriots that held it up during that fight, during that bombardment. Let's talk about now customs and courtesies for that flag. Rules for displaying the U.S. flag. For you flag detail guys also, we always raise it briskly and we lower it slowly or ceremoniously. When the flag detail raises the flag in the morning, raise it quickly during the Pledge of Allegiance. Display it from sunrise to sunset. In our case, we display it from the start of school to the end of school. And if you do it at half staff to honor death of important officials or for Memorial Day, we raise it all the way up and then we lower it halfway down. You can fly it from a staff or a pole, displayed on the flat on a wall or a building. You can do it hung over a street and over a casket. If you display the flag on a casket, this is important because you'll see this again. The blue field or the Union will go over the deceased heart, over their left side. Group display of the flag. Our flag is always on the left or centered with city and state flags. In a procession, the U.S. flag is always on the left-hand side as you're looking at it. We have a saying that's called the U.S. is always right. When in the color guard, the U.S. flag will always be on the right-hand side as we are standing in the formation holding the flag.
Begin by holding the flag waist high with another person so that its surface is parallel to the ground. Bring the lower striped section of the flag up over the blue field. Fold the flag again lengthwise with the blue field on the outside. Start a triangular fold by bringing the striped corner to the open edge. Fold the outer point inward and parallel with the open edge to form a second triangle. Continue to fold the flag in triangles until the entire length of the flag is folded, with only the blue field and the margin showing. Tuck the margin into the pocket formed by the folds at the blue field edge of the flag. When you have completely folded the flag, only the blue field should be visible.
We are responsible for the color guards here at the school. The color guard symbolizes protection of the flag in our nation. You have the flags, and on each side of the flags are the guards carrying rifles. The two cadets in the center are the flag bearers, and the two cadets who carry the rifles are sabers. Those are the guards. Only cadets who meet with the highest standards are selected for the color guard. We want the best of the best out there representing the school, the nation, and our ROTC program. Why has the U.S. flag changed so many times over the years? The answer to that is B, is because we keep adding states to the nation. Star Spangled Banner was written as a poem inspired by the battle in the War of 1812, the Battle of Fort McHenry. Should the flag ever be flown with the Union at the bottom? That is false. No, it should never be shown with the Union at the top because the Union represents our nation and our nation is always at top. If the flag is displayed flat on the wall, where should the Union be? It should be in the upper left. The flag is usually displayed at half staff in order to honor the dead. When a U.S. flag is displayed with flags from other nations, the U.S. flag should be at the same height as other flags representing other nations. All right, I want you guys to read over exercise 1 on how to fold the flag. That will be in your cadet notebook. And I will play To the Colors. To the Colors is played in the evening when the flag is being lowered. That is why it is actually so long. So why are there special rules for displaying and folding the flag? It's simple. It's to honor our country and the people who died to make our country where it is today. Remember, these people left other countries where they were being persecuted and prosecuted, and they were being treated unfairly, to go to a new country and start all over and have a new life where everybody had a fair start. All right, so take some time, think about what the flag means to you, do your other exercises and worksheets. I will stop this video here, and then we will go into saluting and courtesies among cadets and each other.